Hello hombres, my name's L.A.zy and I welcome you all back to Hate Plus. Now, if you remember from the last time, we extracted a couple of files but at the cost of our energy, so I am not sure how exactly that's going to work into the end of the game, but without further delays, let's see what else do we have to read. I'm also thinking if the game is gonna end on when the energy runs out, I don't think I'm gonna continue this because I already feel like we already stretched out this game for as much as we need to. So let me just clear my throat a bit and I'll start reading up. So Ryo was chief counselor by then, I guess. I haven't even begun reading and you're already commenting. Okay. So Motherhood Credit Act, Chief Counselor Ryo, Captaincy. Next on the list, the proposed Motherhood Credit Act. I'm tabling this one myself. You can find the next of the act in the 10th appendix of the session's agenda, as well as relevant charts and data in the 11th through 15th. We're share burning through appendices fast. My apologies. I'll try to keep this one concise. Then, since I know we've all read this one anyway, we're approaching a serious demographic problem right now. Birth rates ship-wide have been declining for years. The plan, simply put, is to provide an economic incentive for families to raise children. Exactly what sort of numbers are you proposing? I feel like I'm being buried underneath a giant pile of data. How much is this credit for? Nothing being buried. It's just thoroughness. Lots of bickering. By the way, who? Oh, I know him. That's the Emperor Taijo, the first emperor of the new dynasty. He was born Ryo Hyun-soo. In the past, he was chief counselor. Okay, nice bit of info there. Chief Counselor Smith would have allowed an item to be introduced for appendices. They've been available beforehand for months. I haven't read them either. I've read them first. It's just unclear. What are the actual numbers? It's a complex breakdown with a number of factors. The bottom line, though, is that it will average to 20,000 silver for noble families per year and 5,000 silver for peasant families a year. Really boring economics type stuff. Let the record show that Councillor Lee just let out a long whistle, which I'm seconding. Those are big numbers. I don't object on principle, but I would like insurance that this isn't going to impact my department's budget. It's already stretched thin. Everybody's stretched thin. The projection makes it seem like it's going to have a significant cost attached to it. Like, I'm not opposed either. I get the benefits, it's just, the stability I worry about. Counselor Smith, if you would. Pardon me. Right, there's no question this will be costly. We're looking for long-term results, but certainly this is not a project that can be sustained in the long term. If you look at Appendix 14, you'll see that the projected cost for the next 10 years will require a 15% tax increase. That's a lot. I don't really get it. Me neither, but it's fun to read. However, the projection also shows that with the estimated population increase, and this is being conservative, don't worry, we'll see an event payout after about 22 years, then a significant increase. How does that work? Appendix 15 is a report by the Magumbo University Department of Economics. You'll find that it explains thoroughly. Certainly, Counselor, but humor me. How does it work? Well, basically when the population goes up, it means the workforce increases, which means there's more people to do more jobs. So there's an increase in tax revenue overall, but a decrease in government labor costs, which is always a pain in the ass. Pretty much. Really? I'm sure the Counselor of Education will vouch for the quality of the university's findings. Yes, of course, I'll stand by. Very well then. Okay, but here's my problem. If you increase taxes in the lower class by 15%, there will be riots. Like, my office will be on fire within a week, and it turns out that costs even more of the money that's already tight to put out. We're taking actual straight-out riots. It's a security problem. But the benefit would be, I get that the benefit would be, it just doesn't offset the cost of, offices on fire. More workers would be a pretty good thing, though. Are you really going to exercise the security veto over this? If I may, a possible solution might be to offload the tax increase onto the noble classes. This is a terrible idea. Just to hell with the whole act, I say. No, it's a good idea. Peasants off having children is something I'm all for. Peasants raising happy families do not set fire to anything. To be perfectly clear, I'm very much in favor of the not setting fire to things option, okay? The counselor of security may be over-dramatizing a little. Don't sound so certain. We need to find some sort of consolation to refusal to carry out President Park's insane school credit idea. This just addresses a serious social issues as well as undercuts Park. If it's not this, it'll have to be something else. I don't care. I'm not voting for any act that'll require a tax increase, let alone one supported by needy families alone. Yes, me neither. This is certainly going nowhere fast. Counselor Smith? Yeah? I'm sure something can be changed to address the counselor's concerns, right? Well, we could probably just take funding from the surplus. It'll all balance out in the end anyway. I didn't think to admit any numbers on that, though. Assuming the Councillor of State is correct and no new taxes were levied on either the peasantry or noble class, would anyone object? It'd be okay by me. Assuming the Councillor of State is correct, no, there would be no objection. Yes, fine, whatever, I don't care. I would have no problem, what they all said. Great. Councillor Smith, please provide a report on the feasibility of surplus financing for the Motherhood Credit Act. The item is tabled until then. Moving on. Looks like there's more political details here than in any other articles that have been read so far. Don't pick the flowers. Did I miss this one? Let's see, what's this? Don't pick the flowers. Review. Okay, there are a couple of names that I haven't seen here. What are these? Whoa. This is the first time we read about this person. Click their name again in another log file. I'll remind you about them. Looks like a poster child for some movie. And this? No photos. Okay, some waste. Same person again. Attention getting headline. The Silver Eternity's production of Don't Pick the Flowers is the current pinnacle of modern theater, with Hyo-Ah-jung and Lee Tae-min giving their first performances to date. The ever lovely Ah-jung has always been one of our favorite stars ever since the publication started. For the past half year, it's been obvious, even to the casual theater goer, that her career has been somewhat of a slump. In one of her recent performances, she was so visibly spaced out she completely missed cues and delivered many of the show's important monologues with the stiffness of a stale noodle. I can only speculate as to why, but it's been troubling to watch. That sounds interesting, I suppose. Lately, however, we've seen a real return to her previous form. Ah-jung is enchanting as a dream, and her onstage chemistry with her co-star Tae-min produces unbelievably convincing tension. For 3 hours, she becomes the perfect embodiment of love and scorn, taking you through the play's myriad complex turns and betrayals. Make no mistake, this is a difficult play. Don't Pick the Flowers presents the story of the charismatic veteran Earth politician Anna Harper, Hyo-jung, whose charm belies a vicious revenge plot against a seductive serial killer, An-soo, Lee Tae-min, in yet another cross-dressing role, a playboy who uses his status to escape the law. It's a chilling story of manipulation, and the entire play is a duel of wit and charm between the two. A complicated dance where one is never sure who's ahead until the end. In the hands of a less skilled cast or any other director, it can be a mess, but Ah-jung, Tae-min are entrancing, and when done right, the confusion only helps to sell the roles even more. I don't really get why this is included though. It's kind of boring. More like an ad or anything else. If you only see one play this year, it absolutely must be this. I don't know what's happened to Ah-jung to bring her back to grace, but we're all better for it. 5 stars. Don't Pick the Flowers. It's currently being performed at the Silver Eternity Theater. Not bad for her, I guess. Okay, 3 more. And the others are locked away. Alright, let's just return to index and read them all then. Alright. Grandmother knows best. Room status relatively free of debris. No laundry on the floor. Few still unrolled. Not really a point to doing it this late in the day. No dishes in the room. That's just about good enough for me. Today was pretty exhausting at work. We're still doing cleanup from the fire on Monday, and I'm low enough on the ladder to get stuck in a room full of ash all day. It's also meant in order to catch up on all of my project work. I had to do 2 hours of overtime afterwards. It was not my idea of fun. Can't figure out what the occasion is, But for some reason, when I got home from work, half the main branch of the family seemed to be in our living room. Even my grandfather, Counselor of Engineering himself, was there, shockingly. I wanted to just lie down and hole up in my room, but given how rare an event this is, social obligations interfered. Counselor Kim, I don't think he gets along with Mew. He was the Counselor of Engineering. Oh, that guy. Oh, she's an engineer, that's nice. After thanking grandfather for getting me that job once more, which he seemed nonplussed on the subject of, my grandmother instantly dominated the conversation by asking me if I'd found a manual. My standard response, I'd love to, but work keeps getting in the way. She apparently didn't buy it. Okay, so no info on her. Why not? Isn't engineering a male-dominated field? Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to grow up to be like too. She understands. She asked, it's not wrong, but nearly every single man is either named Kim or married to someone named Kim. There's a few exceptions like my boss, the gross one who forces me to clean up ashes instead of doing important work. I left that last part out in my answer to grandmother. It's not like I don't want to find someone. I'd sure like to move out from my parents' house and have someone of companionship and eventually have kids when my career gives me the time for it. But I'm not opposed to marriage. I really want it, but I don't think I'm brave enough to say the only reason why I've gotten to 22 years old without ever having a boyfriend is because I'm hopeless with men, in front of the entire main branch of the family, or even in front of anyone. I feel pretty embarrassed even writing this in my diary, and nobody but me is going to read it. Able to say no, huh? So I think I was supposed to be offended when she asked, what if I found someone for you? But actually it seemed like a reasonable enough idea. She has good judgment, probably, and don't believe in nonsense like love at first sight. The idea of getting together with someone through a matchmaker doesn't sound very hard to justify. Besides, if I don't like whoever she picks, I can always just say no. So I asked, do you have someone in mind? She seemed pretty taken aback by that. My parents not so much, they didn't say anything. The bottom line is what it seems I now have a marriage interview with Mr. Pion at some point next month. Apparently he is very sweet, dresses handsomely, and works as a cook for a living. Those all sound like good things to me, although I worry about what sort of man would resort to matchmaking. While I'm not one to talk, I think it's going to be fairly weird, but I'm looking forward to it. Ah, well, that's nice of her. And who's... look at this guy. Okay, so there's no info on him. What do we have next? A curious word. So, she got married. Apartment status, just moved in. Perfectly clean. Closet full of brand new cushions and linens. Cupboard full of spotless dishes. Bed is made. Husband's insistence. Ah, so she married this guy. Mr. Pion, the old man Kim, so he was going to have a marriage interview with. Husband, husband, husband. What a curious word. I don't think I will ever get used to that idea. I mean, it's only been a day, but fiancé sounds just as curious for me too. And I don't feel like things are really any different. Ah, that's really romantic though. As stated, the wedding was today. Grandmother insisted on having a big formal affair of it. Certainly not in my interests, but my only condition was that I was to have no part in the planning. It seemed to make both her and Naimune happy. I begrudgingly dealt with the stuffy traditional clothing for her sake. After all, without her matchmaking, I never would have been married to begin with. It was eminently in my best interest, though. After the ceremony concluded, I had another chance to converse with my grandfather. Oh wait, I forgot to check on this. Ah, that's him again. Keep mixing up the names a bit. Conversed with my grandfather, and after an entirely accidental slip of tongue by my disgusting boss, drinking was a factor, I must confess. I am unused to how free it seems to make my tongue. I found myself with a promise of promotion to technical specialist. Even for a wedding present, this was a tremendous gesture. I'm intensely looking forward to going back to work now. Finally, freedom from the embarrassment of cleaning ashes and the ability to perform research. I will, of course, not be given my own assistance from the start, but it is still a huge step up. What else happened? Conversation with parents about moving out was emotional on their part, but largely unremarkable. They will cope. Still feel like this new home is too large for me, but it would be a lie to suggest that I don't love it. Having space for just the two of us, particularly free of awkward silence requirements in the bedroom, is as great as I hoped. Past that busy day, but little less worth noting, naked husband seemingly reading over my shoulder now. Still doing it, hasn't stopped yet. Yes, knock it off. Ah, they sound like a cute couple. I'm happy for them. Husband is now mocking very concept post-coital diary right. Seemingly he does not want me to fall asleep with me, showing any manner of affection to him. Possibly even interest in sleeping on a futon in the other room. Now expressing an unacceptably sincere level of apology. Still insufficient. You'll have to do better than that, husband. If you want. File ends abruptly. Maybe something else? There's something I want to talk about. Yes? Sorry to get all suddenly serious on you, but I feel really weird reading some of these logs. It's just that, especially reading about relationships, I get a very adult feeling from them. Really, it's hard, isn't it? And all this politics stuff is just so far above my head. It's hard to admit, but there's just so many things I don't understand at all. I mean, I'm over 600 years old, but I feel like such a child reading some of these things. I like the idea of following my childhood dreams, being an engineer like my real father. Now I'm reading about someone like Kim So-hee and how hard it was for her, despite being really smart, having a job and a supportive husband and science on her side. It just makes me think, if even someone like her could barely deal with being a responsible working adult, what hope does someone like me have? It's hopeless, isn't it? There'll never be a functional adult like them, will I? Probably not. I believe in you, who can say? Well, I wouldn't tell it to give up right now. I would say just believe in yourself, as cheesy as that may sound. You do? Oh, I knew there was a reason why I wanted to be with you. Thank you so much for saying that. I'm sure with someone as wonderful as you by my side, I can learn how to be a real adult too. I can always learn how. And I guess the first step is to try to understand, isn't it? Very well, let's get back to reading those logs then. I'm going to do my best to try and understand these things that they keep talking about. I'm sure I can if I try. You said it. What do we have? What's this? For the millionth time, tune up your deflector regularly. Tune up your deflector regularly. Tune up your bloody deflector regularly. From the damage report you sent us, it's pretty obvious what happened. Your deflector engaged probably and then a second too late. Instead of removing an incoming piece of microscopic debris, it's just changed the angle enough to glance it right through your primary engine at 09C. Honestly, you're damn lucky it didn't pass through an unshielded area, or you wouldn't be alive right now. I see this sort of thing happen all the goddamn time. It's completely avoidable if you would just take your ship in for regular tune-up. There's absolutely no excuse. Tune up your deflector regularly. It's covered by all insurance providers by law. It takes no more than 5 minutes. I'll do it this time for you, but it's up to you to bring in for a tune-up every 6 months. For now, I'll expect to see the White Princess at the shop by February 12th. I don't know how long it'll take to fix, but judging by the damage report, you're going to be grounded for at least a week while we wait for repairs to arrive. And for the love of God, tune up your bloody deflector regularly. J.R. Robinson, Corporate Repair Division, Industrial Star Solutions, Earth Space Dock. Okay, you didn't have to get all technical about it. Jeez. Okay, and the last file, and I think I'm gonna end the video here. The research problem. Apartment status, no time to make the bed this morning, otherwise spotless dishes need to be washed. Mr. Han finally responded to my message. I've been so excited to have him assigned to me as a research assistant. Certainly the help was well deserved after my recent overburdened workload, or at least in my estimation. I have considered the possibility of research chief's intentions were not good doing so. Ooh. This guy looks like he doesn't fuck around. Is this the same guy? There's no photo of him. That's good for her. It seems unlikely, however, despite his remarks on the perillousness of my position, it seems as though he is earnestly grateful for my work. and he didn't assign Han further to me until I specifically outlined pre- preliminary research proposal into the radiation problem. So I must believe that he truly did think that the research was worth pursuing, that would require assistance for it and nothing more. I certainly was optimistic the first time I worked with Han. He seemed receptive to my proposal, and having overviewed some of his prior work, seemed competent enough. During one of our lunch meetings, I told him that I'd be interested in discussing his graduate thesis on process distribution with him, and it sounded fascinating. In retrospect, perhaps I should have noticed something in his body language. It did strike me as noteworthy that he touched my hands more than one might expect while making gestures to illustrate his points, but I didn't think much of it at the time. Don't know, I'd really like it if someone touched me like that. If you say so. Yesterday evening, at his suggestion, I invited him to our apartment to discuss the proposal in depth. It seemed reasonable enough, or more accurately, I wanted to show off how nice our new apartment is. I haven't had any prior opportunity to do so. Because of that, I went along with his suggestion. After getting tea, I sat down on the couch to show him the proposal document I've written up. I had to be next to him or he wouldn't be able to see it. After a brief discussion of the general thesis, particularly as to the difficulty in discovering that what safe levels of gamma radiation should be when a closed environment is what is, I decided to tell more of the radical part of my theory. Whoa, really? I mean, I remember that that was a really big problem in my time. Now that there's no risk Now that there's no risk of a co-worker overhearing, I have a confession to make, I said to him. He seemed receptive. I actually wish to investigate a secondary theory in the bounds of this project. I hypothesized that not only does ambient radiation have a deleterious effect on fertility, but that ambient radiation is outside of safe levels, and therefore it has been a contributing factor to the one's declining birth rates. Perhaps the major one, I admitted. It was certainly not something I wanted to present as the research chief without being able to provide a connection, but I unreasonably assumed I could trust Han with it. Oh no. Well, maybe we could explore that theory together, he said in a comfortable manner and put his hand on my leg. I felt like he was not taking me seriously, and I protested to that effect. Oh geez, Sergey, I'm serious. This may be premature, but I would like to eventually attempt to apply this research to investigate the birth rate problem, I said. That's dependent on our work first proving this initial proposal, of course. I can't remember how he responded, but he moved his hand further up my leg. It was inappropriate and I felt uncomfortable. Please stop that, I told him. He didn't. Unable to think of what to do, I continued talking and hoped he would focus on that instead. This is the preliminary proposal I showed the chief. I told him showing him the document. I paged through it until I found the right portion. As you can see, the highlighted section of some is necessary background detail. Since you are available as an assistant now, I'd like you to... Diary writing is supposed to be cathartic, but I'm finding it difficult to write about. Maybe tea will help. This is horrible. I can't believe I said that's really horrible. At that point, I was cut off mid-sentence by the insertion of his hand into my underwear. This was far beyond the point of being comfortable. I'd like you to... I started, but was interrupted by another movement. The screen keeps glitching out. It was at this time that I realized that he would not stop on his own. I had no idea what to say. It did not seem likely to me that I could think of anything to make him stop. Please stop, I said angrily. He didn't, and when I said that, I saw he was staring at me. I was not able to decipher the expression, not an unusual occurrence with me. But it scared me and I looked away on reflex. No, it's not her fault. Why did she think that? I tried to figure out what I had done to elicit this. I'm not great with no social interactions, and I considered the possibility that I had somehow signaled that this was what I wanted. Maybe it was the invitation home that triggered it. Maybe I could not figure out what I had done wrong at the time, and I'm still struggling. Finally, after enduring it for far too long, I decided I would try to pull myself away. Then I ran out of the room, out of my own home, into the corridor. Even at the time it occurred to me to be thankful that he let me run. He could have easily overpowered me ever since I first had the thought. I'm having a hard time not imagining what that would be like. And it induces a sense of nausea. I would go as far as to characterize the thought as horrifying. I would like to stop thinking about it. I hid the office for 2 hours. I hid at the office for 2 hours pretending to be doing overtime. Nobody questioned it anyway. The thought occurred to me that I could have simply hidden in another room of my home. The bedroom and washroom doors both locked, but it was too late then. From the office I wrote a message telling him that it would be in both our interests if we mentioned this incident to nobody, and I told the research chief that this help was unnecessary. It took many rephrasings until I had something I was satisfied wished to send Han. I ended up phrasing it as a threat. I could only hope it would be taken seriously. Oh, realistically, I could probably wait a shorter period than 2 hours to return, but I wanted to be certain that he'd gone when I got back. Thankfully he was. Instead, Moon was there to greet me. Are you okay, sweetheart? He asked immediately after welcoming me home. I do not know how he could tell something was wrong. I said nothing. I couldn't tell him about it. There was no way. I'm unworried about him judging me or blaming me, but regardless, I do not think he would understand. Probably he would want to cause a commotion over it. Filing complaint or some equally troublesome gesture. You look really upset. Do you want to talk about it? He asked. I shook my head. Okay, of course, that's fine. Give you a hug, at least, he offered. He's such a good man. I'm really glad she had him. I nodded and he hugged me. I only nodded reluctantly. I had thought I really did not want anyone to touch me after that whole incident. The idea of a man touching me just made me uncomfortable to think of. Yet when he put his arms around me despite that thought, I ended up gripping him very, very tightly. He held on for far longer than is considered normal. I realized it wasn't the same thing at all. My reluctance was unfounded. Being held like that could not have been any more different. And I'm not really certain as to how to describe it, so all I can say is that it made me feel safe. I felt a sense of longing just to say it like that forever. I'll make dinner for you, sweetie, he offered. How about some tofu stew, extra spicy, just for you? That'll make you feel better. I doubted that any food would have that power, but offering to make my favorite for me was a very sweet gesture. I'm glad he could see it. Thanks. Just sit back and relax, okay? I'll have some tea for you in a moment, he told me. As it turned out, dinner was lovely and did raise my mood. The thought of Han touching me kept coming back to me, as I suspect it will for a long time, but then being able to look at my caring husband comes as a source of great comfort. After dinner, Mr. Han finally responded to my message. He was threatening in tone in his response, and it implied both that I made the first move with him and that he could use that as blackmail material with my husband if he so wished, but ultimately agreed to the terms I laid out. I said the short one response, okay. The suggestions he made were frustrating, and it makes me wish I could respond harshly to him, telling him how wrong and bad he's being, but engaging with him more won't make anything better. I just want to forget about the whole thing. Fighting would be counterproductive to the goal, not to mention massively wasting of time when I'm already overburdened at work. So I sent that message and instead put down all my feelings here where nobody else will see. Jeez, that's such a scary situation. I wouldn't have been able to deal with that. And now I'll wash the dishes with Moon because I'm tired of dwelling on this. So that's actually her husband. Okay. Yes? Well, looks like we're nearly out of power for today. I think that's probably for the better anyway. I don't think I could read everything all at once. I mean, this isn't going to have a happy ending. It's important to pace yourself, I think. We still have 2 whole more days to waste until we arrive. But tomorrow, though, tomorrow's going to be a special day. Are you excited? Sure. Me too, super excited. Lunar New Year tomorrow. I can't wait. I never really saw much point in celebrating it for the past 622 years. I mean, it's something you spend with family. But I really, really want to spend it with you now. I think if you don't have any family, it's just as good as spending it with a friend instead. Right, I forgot, you're supposed to have a new handbag to celebrate the new year with. I'll have to be sure to design a new one. Wow, that'll be fun. I'm really looking forward to it. We'll get to see it tomorrow. Looking forward to showing it to you. Well, right, anyway, we're almost out of power. I'll give you a button to shut everything down until tomorrow then. There's no hurry, but when you're ready, you should press the shutdown button. That's all. But where exactly that shutdown button is? Ah, okay. First, let us save this. I'll power it down on off screen. And with this, I'm gonna end the video here. Well, that kind of solves the issue with the power. I guess every time the power runs out, she automatically suggests to power down until tomorrow. But like I said, I'm gonna do that off screen, and we're gonna have all the new files to read in the next episode. So without further ado, that's it for this video. Thank you all who watched. Hopefully, I will see you all next time. Bye bye.